Okay, hello and welcome to 2022. I have two versions of the game open. Right, so I didn't stream last week because it was a long day for me, and not a long day, just there'd been a lot going on. And I needed a break. Don't worry about that black screen, it's all good. So I was like, yeah, we're not going to stream. Just take some time for myself. So yeah, we will continue with our life beginning and always, where you are basically following a friendship with Cove, this green-haired boy from childhood into adulthood, and you can romance Cove, or you can not romance him. That is completely up to you. And apparently there are other characters you can romance. I've not met them yet. And there are 4 steps to the game. There's childhood, which that's the step that we're on. There's teenager, young adulthood, and then an epilogue that's basically your life after that last step. And each step has DLC, and there's going to be wedding DLC that will be released. They're apparently working on it right now. I will have links in the YouTube up. When I post this to YouTube, I'll include links to the game, which is free. They can donate money. And then we're going to be starting with the DLC for Step 1, so I will include a link to that, which you do have to pay for. That they use the money from that to support their production of the game as a whole. So they need to make money. Come on. I think it's available on Steam. I've bought it on itch. And if you enjoy these games and my live streams, please like and subscribe. Feels a little silly to say that when it's going to be like 2 weeks before it goes up on YouTube. But, this is going up on YouTube, so I have to say it. And it's just easier to get it out of the way. So, continue. So these grayed out ones are the ones that we have played. Or, not we. I suppose we could say we. We played, so, this is 3rd week playing this. You can't even see it on the... I can see the gray on my screen. I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's truly a different color. So the first week we played the introductory bit where you met Cove and his dad and your family, which is your 2 moms and your sister. And your sister's fan, Shiloh. And then we played the shopping moment, because that's what these are moments. And then last time, which was 2 weeks ago, we played these 3, Grown Up, Long Day, and Sandcastle. So, depending on how long the other ones are, we may get through half of the rest today, and then the other half next week, and then we'll move on to the next step after that. So, it may be taking a month to get through each of these, which is fine. I'm really enjoying the experience because I have not played through this before. I started it and then I didn't finish it, but then I was like, let's go ahead and do it live stream, because there's something about doing it this way that keeps me focused and actually wanting to continue playing. After this, I don't know what I'll do. It depends on how long it takes me to get through all of this, which, if it does take me a month to get through every single one, that'll get me through the first part of the year. Because This is basically 2 more weeks, which takes me to the middle of January, and then another 4 weeks would take me to the middle of February, to the middle of March, to the middle of April. So who knows what will be available at that point, because there's a couple games that I've really been looking forward to, but they pushed back the release date. So taking my time with this may actually mean I can jump into live streaming one of those, and maybe I'll do live stream on Sundays if there's stuff that I really want to play right away, and I don't want to wait until I'm done with this. And I'm gesturing and you can't see it because, yeah, which is fine. So we're gonna start with Fireflies, and there's a moment with Fireflies in the Andromeda 6 DLC, and that's for some reason the version I have, it didn't take you to a shot of this little area that you were in, and I was really bummed about that because it's really sweet. But you saw it anyway in the 2 with Oppo DLC. So anyway, here we go. There it is. All right. Hey, Lizzie. It's funny because I have a twin sister, and her name is probably the same as Lizzie's, but she doesn't go by Lizzie. Actually, because it's too close to Liz Taylor, and my mom was I was the name of Liz Taylor, so she refused to call my sister that, which confused a lot of people. I don't know why my mom doesn't like Liz Taylor. You just don't. Alright, tonight we're going to patch Fireflies. I don't live in an area that has Fireflies, so this is new to me. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies were from the other side over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. You know, after the Princess and the Frog, Fireflies have a different meaning for me now. And it was particularly balmy. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? Yeah! You started eating faster. Look over at your mom. Push your food around your plate. Okay. Line up the dice. Why didn't I grab them beforehand? I don't know. That was easy. Alright, I got a Trailer CD4. I don't really care about any of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Yeah! You rock lightly from side to side in your seat, already excited for your after dinner activity. Catching fireflies was a great way to spend a summer evening, and you could already envision the little lightning bugs drifting through the darkened sky. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Hunt? Milo tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally, she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your mom know she'd be late. He didn't hear why. Probably more work things. He thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree. Well, it's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. The parents exchanged a look, and Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you finished chewing to say anything, because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full. And I'm a rude person. I try not to, but sometimes I can't help it.
Fine.
Fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay?
Duh.
That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you. like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mom read sometimes. Not too quickly became a race to see who could finish the food first. No trouble at the dinner table now. That's right, if someone died, we'd have to cancel the firefly trip after all. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew they were both telling you kids to slow down. She did immediately, and guess what was you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth?
Jeez.
No one is gonna die. Sheesh. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold her sister. I get it. The big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was.
Huh?
You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest. Just a wild guess here, Cove.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's snappy hat. Oh, Cove, hi, you're here. Cove smiled at your enthusiastic greeting, and you hoped Mommy would ask him to stay. It didn't matter why he was there. It meant he could join you all in catching fireflies. Then for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your Mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off. I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took the familiar screwdriver from out of his large-sized pocket, eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood up from the table, too. I figured I'd call to let him know you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him. Typical Lizzie, but she'd just be like, hey, thanks, bye, go away.
Hi.
Hi, Cove. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hands and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she'd get over it. You hoped Cove would say yes. That way you wouldn't be the odd one out with Lizzie and Shiloh anymore.
Yeah.
I can do that. I've never tried one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. Fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been any where he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Close up closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What did you have? Eggs. They flipped one-word answers, thanks to scare Shiloh from asking any more questions. I slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. The phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you could stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did. If it weren't kids, that could be misconstrued so badly.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 and 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. First the door shut behind you, watching their figures get further and further away.
Hurry up!
You're so slow, Julia. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. Cove gave you a quizzical look. No, I'm still going. Let's go then. You picked up the pace, feet kicking up dust as you ran behind the house. After a second, Cove started to chase after you. It didn't take long to reach the hill. Oh, that's so pretty. Yes, that works. Ah. So pretty. I could just sit there with that screen and that music and I'd be happy. You slowed down as you started to climb up. A slow grin spreading across your face at the gorgeous sight. Bright weekend lights floated like buoys on a wave all around your little group, straying teasingly close before darting away again.
Wow.
I'm with you, Cove. Shadow took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hey guys, it's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. The firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. We're both gonna giggle. Covering your mouth with the hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you in confusion. What?
Oh.
Lucy has one. That's amazing. Shadow ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. Let's see. I tend to be pretty accident prone, so we're going to say that we have advantage. Where depends on the dice. Right, got distracted. So 1 or 4, first option. 2 or 5, second option. 3 or 6, third option. 2. Bandage on our palm. Okie dokie. Finding one close by, you approached it with a assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. I wonder how assassin-like it really was. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you tread that towards it, arms outstretched. Close your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and stared down at your cries and delight. Tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove stepped up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Cove watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. We're gonna go with one of the first two because I don't like either of the second two. So 1 or 3, first option. 2 or 4, second option. 2. Hey, want to see the one I got? Okay, one more look in the direction of his last prize before coming closer and peering at the insect still crawling across your palm. You held out your hand and he leaned closer, his eyes widening a tad behind his glasses. Cove remained hypnotized by the little bug as he inched his hand closer to yours. Ultimately, he trailed his fingers lightly over the top of the ones you were holding open. It tingled. We're going to stay very still. The last thing you wanted was to accidentally scare the shiny treasure off. The firefly, noticing the new connection, crawled up onto Cove's hand. He quietly gasped. It worked? Yeah, you got one. Cove's lips turned up into a slow smile, and his eyes shined brighter than the bug. Thanks, Julia. With a laugh, he gave the palm of her hand a friendly smack, performing an awkward low five. Startled by the extreme movement, the tiny light disappeared before you could even blink. The firefly was gone.
Sorry.
Oops, sorry. We're gonna forgive him. That's okay. I couldn't keep it forever.
You're right.
Bugs have to stay outside. Let's get another. Ooh. Alright, 1 or 3 first option, 2 or 4 second option. 1. You decide to collect more. We can work together. His face broke out into a wide grin. We'll get a bunch. With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more clue to suss it out with. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Julia, this way! You followed the sound of Cove's voice from the top of the hill, watching as he stretched his arms in front of him, reaching with his fingers and only narrowly missing his target. Cove and you took turns trying to scare fireflies in the direction of the other. You showed him some techniques that you had learned like how to cup your hands correctly, and he listened attentively before trying for himself. There were a few times when you almost ran into each other, giggling as you dove to the side at the last moment. Luckily, disaster was avoided each time. It was an overall huge success, with the both of you catching multiple fireflies each. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out, and your energy started to wax. You decided it was time to call off the hunt. Cove didn't complain. He breathed in heavily, and his face was really flushed. That was fun. A lot of fun. He smiled at him broadly, happy that he had enjoyed the activity. Yeah, it was.
Come on!
Oh yeah, Cove, get up here. We're going to have a race. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lucy or Shiloh. Glance over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lucy beckoning to you with a quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lucy a lot. He thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi.
Cove.
Hi, Cove. Hi, Cove. You can't run down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. As Lucy pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. Thrown down at his cat. That was the second time it got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it?
I guess.
The catch was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee. It was already decided.
Really?
Why? You don't have to. It's okay. I want to watch. You moved beside him on the top of the hill, even though Lucy eyed you and made a face. That's not how races work. We only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lucy let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Fine, I'll be the winner whether you join or not. Lucy moved her way down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him. Count down. Cove stood up a little straighter. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. 3, 2, 1, go! Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom of the hill. I can remember doing that myself. You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. They were both neck and neck until about halfway down the hill, Lizzie started to veer off the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his hands in the air. I won! Almost immediately, he'd go back onto the grass, so dizzy from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bush she had ended up in, spluttering angrily and pushing leaves from the front of her dress. Not bad, you got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real. Yeah, it's time to come in. No! He snickered, feeling grateful he hadn't been a part of the mini debacle. Pat closed eyes and saw that he was doing the same. They got him late and beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together side by side down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway, All that mattered was that you all had a good time, which judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. Okay. Let's see. Don't worry, I'm going to go back and open the other ones. I just wanted to look at these. Okay, so we don't have the picture. I guess because it depends on the look of your character. Okay. So going back. So now we're getting into the DLC. So, library. Every year, the Sunset Bird Memorial Library holds a summer reading program. Me. Totally me. Your moms and Lizzie were big fans of it. Mom and Mommy because it encouraged reading, and Lizzie because she could win prizes. When it came to what you thought, having to read a bunch of books and then going to the library with a competitive Lizzie, let's set the dice aside. 1 or 4, first option. 2 or 5, second option. 3 or 6, third option. You hated it. But there was no way to get out of it when everyone else in your family adored it. No matter how many jokes you cracked about it being boring. Even Lucy went with Shiloh before, and this year you brought Cove, too. His dad had been so over the moon about Cove being included that he'd driven all 4 of you. You had never been in Cove's dad's car before. It seemed a lot shinier than your mom's. After herding the group inside, Mr. Holden gave you all a wide wave with yarn that has a stingray on it. Now, fine, kids. Stay inside the librarians, you hear? I wish I could watch you in action, but your poor old dad has to finish up some work.
I got it.
So I'm sure that won't get in the way. Heck, I'd probably hold you kids back. There's plainly no reply from son over what was likely meant as only a joke. Cove's dad seems to deflate a bit. I'll swing around again when this shindig ends. Yeah, you can go home now. Aw. You don't have to throw me out the door. His sister, already in full competition mode, cut him off. Once Cove looked grateful she was there.
Come on!
You have to go find a table, Mr. Holden. You can talk to Cove after when you win. Okay. See you in about an hour. Have fun. Did I say that already? My advantage is really catching up to me now.
Bye.
Bye, Dad. Bye, son. The 4 of you watched him shuffle out of the library, glancing over his shoulder at Cove more than once.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Holden. Thank you for bringing this. Thanks, Lizzie. I don't know what you're thanking me for. Are you copying Shiloh? Distracted, Cove was already glancing around the gigantic library. Where'd you go explore? What? Said I want to go look around and see what's in here. The queen started feeling. That's why we came. Right at the first signs of conflict, Shiloh's eyes started between Lizzie and Cove. Then you can do it without me, right? You don't need a bunch of people. Didn't your dad say to stay with the librarians? You shouldn't go somewhere by yourself. Cove leveled an unimpressed stare at both of them, then his eyes went at yours.
Hey!
Why are you looking at her? Julia is with us. Julia can come if she wants to. Since we're going with the idea that we hate this, even though I don't, we'll go with that.
Seriously?
Cove looked surprised, but happy at the same time. For all you kept making fun of the whole idea of the kids' quiz, you never directly admitted to hating it. Well, fine, let's go, Shiloh. Okay. Her arms folded, your sister stormed off. Shiloh had to race to keep up with her. She knows a lot about that. It's just how Lizzie is. I don't like it. Since you've been here a lot before, we could play hide and seek. Hide and seek? Not exploring? Yep, if I'm searching for you and you're searching for me, we'll really have to look at everything. You weren't entirely sure of how effective that would be, but couldn't say he was totally wrong. I'll hide first. The sister maid Cove took off towards the back of the library. You'd already agreed to play with him instead, so he covered your face and waited for 10 seconds. When he looked up again, he was nowhere to be seen. He glanced over towards the way he went. Cove hadn't had much time to hide, but he was already invisible. The place he decided to check was... Well, people are favoriting my tweet announcing my live stream. And that no one's actually in the chat. It's okay. Okay, back to picking options. So, D6, so 1 or 4, first option, 2 or 5, second option, 3 or 6, third option. 4. Beside the fairy tale display. Near the older kids section, there was a display with a bunch of fancy-looking books. They were old copies of old stories. Leaning over the Hans Christian Andersen section, hand resting on the glass above where the Little Mermaid and Thumbelina books were, peered into a tiny corner. And there was Cove, seemingly lost in thought. Gotcha. I didn't think you'd find me so fast. Nice one. I'm like a bloodhound. Cove laughed at the smile that was up his face. You kind of are.
Okay.
Your turn now. I'm going to cover my eyes and count to 10. I promise I won't peek. While Cove had his eyes securely behind the palms of his hands, he went to go hide. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. In the fantasy section. You decided to hide from Cove in the fantasy section. He never really mentioned being interested in fantasy. He had pretty good odds of hiding something there for a while there. If he didn't pay attention to it or read it much, he might just glance over it. And you were right. Sort of. He left you waiting for a while, long enough that you eventually pushed yourself to your feet to stretch your legs. He won the round, but Cove wasn't even trying. Over the edge of a shelf, he saw him standing and staring at a bunch of books. Do you want to stop playing or something? Cove froze in place. Ah! Sorry. I was gonna come find you soon. Alright, let's, he gestured at the shelf full of books and the one in his hand that has really been taking up all of his attention. It was a Narnia series. They had talking animals and a magic land and intense fights. I love the Chronicles of Narnia. Like, for the longest time, I only knew about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and there's that cartoon version of it, and that was one of my favorite movies. And then I found out it was a whole book series, so of course I had to read them all. That was in middle school. And my mom used to read them with me. Oh, her favorite one was Susan. There are a lot to be favorites, but of the four original kids, I'm not sure I like Susan very much. She was a very bossy sister, but I kind of understand why. But I do like Edmund because he made a mistake and he eventually owned up to it and actually became a really good guy. Because he understood what it was like to make a mistake and come back from it. You weren't sure what to do. You weren't sure what he would do. His mom was always a sensitive topic. But he took the book back on the shelf and that was all. It was nice. The memories made him happy instead of sad this time.
Alright.
It's my turn again. Start counting so I can go pick a spot. Okay. Close your eye before you even had a chance to fully close your eyes. 1 Mississippi. When the time was up, it was long gone. Again. There were still a lot of good places to hide. So you figured he was... Oh. Okay, so we're going to keep using the dice. So 1 or 4, first option, 2 or 5, second option, 3 or 6, third option. Whoops. I almost dropped it. 4. No gold Christmas stuff. The library had left all their Christmas things out, tucked away in a corner for months. It was a perfect place to hide. And sure enough, as soon as you crouched down and peered behind the fuzzy green man with the word Grinch above his head, there Cove was. The Grinch. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. That was so fast. Me and Mr. Grinch were just getting settled. He looked at the gigantic frowning doll. It seemed to be scowling at you, the way it did at everybody, all the time. All the littler kids are scared of him. So Shiloh. Not surprised, I don't think. I'm not surprised, I don't think. He is a little funny looking. Let's keep playing. He could do good in at least one round. Put his hands over his eyes, but before he could run off again, the librarian approached with the 2 of you. Ah, kids, I've been looking for you. Cove peeked between his fingers at the stranger. Us? You must be Cove. Your dad told me he was waiting by the entrance. Cove blinked, mouth opening like he was going to say something, then glanced down at his cast. It was a pretty clear giveaway. Sure. Is my sister Lucy with him? She's taller than us and has orange hair. You're Julia, right? You nodded. Phew, I found both of you at once. That's right, she's with him, and the little guy with freckles. Come on, let's go get you reunited so we can close up for the night. Ready to go home, you and Cove followed him up front, where the ragtag group of family members and Shiloh were all waiting. There you are! He was pouting. You could tell from all the way across the room. It was only that much more obvious as you got closer. Did you win? We came in second. Hey, gang, I thought you had been with them the whole time, Cove. I'm glad you didn't just go off by yourself, at least. Cove glanced over at you, then back up at his dad.
Yeah.
Me too. That smile spread over Mr. Holden's face.
That's...
Even so, next time you should... Cove? Cove? His dad glanced around, slightly frantic. But Cove, just like always, had snuck off without thinking to say anything. He's leaving. Cove's trying to be the first one to the car. With a sudden burst of speed, Lucy darted for the exit, still in Victor-to-be mode, even for something like a race to ride in the front seat. There was nothing else for the three of you to do except head after them, pretending the librarians hadn't noticed all the commotion. Though Lucy had been victorious in claiming a window seat in the car, you could tell by her crossed arms and occasional pout that she still had not forgiven your betrayal. Cove had sighed when he had to sit in the middle after Lucy shot past him at the last second, but he cheered up some as you hopped in the back seat next to him. Did you say you came in second place? That's good going.
No.
No, it's not. She levered another glare at you over her shoulder. Yeah, that's, it's funny if you watch the Olympics, the people who get bronze are so delighted to even make it to the podium. People who get silver, they are usually very upset because they weren't quite good enough to get gold. So if you watch if you watch the Olympics, just look at the reactions of the people who even get onto the podium at all in third place, and then the people who make it to second place. And you'll see a huge difference.
Sure.
Sure. Striving to improve is good too. That makes Julia the winner in your family. That's me. What? Julia kept finding me in our game. I lost. You need a rematch. I didn't speak with just you two? That doesn't even count as winning.
Why?
Why not? It's not special. There's no judges or prizes. You had to see that she fought so hard to win. There wasn't much of a prize either. Dad? Yes? You could see Cove's dad's eyes in the rearview mirror, suddenly attentive at his son's call. We need a prize. Oh, as a matter of fact, Mr. Holden focused intently on the road ahead as though a suitable reward to please Cove might appear before him.
Right.
The big thing on the flyer for this was the chance to get a free pizza coupon, wasn't it? How about I call up a takeout place and we can have pizza at home for dinner? Lucy huffed, pulling her arms closer to her chest. Is Mom even going to let you take a pizza from Mr. Holden? We'll see. I'll ask her. I'll talk to all of your moms about this. Thanks, Cove's Dad.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Holden. Yeah, thanks, Dad. You're welcome. I do what I can. But you really should have stuck with the group. The quiz would have been fun. That was the plan when I dropped you off. We stayed together and didn't leave the library. I'm glad for that. I am. There's a lot of trouble you can get into, even if you do have a buddy along for the ride. Just be careful next time. I worry about you, and I bet Julie's parents wouldn't want her to run off unexpectedly either. Okay, son?
Okay.
That's my boy. Now, enough stuff from your old dad. Let's decide what kind of toppings we're gonna get. Pepperoni! Sounds good. Anything else? And the conversation continued from there, with debate on what was best to put on a pizza for the rest of the drive. No pineapple. Does not belong on pizza. Neither do Brussels sprouts or broccoli or the only veggies, olives. And tomatoes. So, usually pizzas have tomato sauce, so... Mr. Holden wanted anchovies, and the other three kids in the car had to band together to explain how gross they were. Waco's dad laughed up in the front seat, made you wonder if this was doing it on purpose. My dad would. He would deliberately, like, when we were trying to decide where to go for dinner, if we're going to have dinner out, my dad will often say McDonald's, which nobody in the family really likes. And we just give him a look. We don't even get upset with him. We just look at him and go, yeah, no. We had a fun day already, but closing it out with friends with a free pizza after all, and more time to hang out with Cove made it even sweeter. You were so glad there ended up being a way to salvage the day. Maybe you could come up with a way to skip the quiz again next year. Okay, so that was 2. I think we can do it one more in before my voice starts giving out. Tonight was incredibly still. I really couldn't ignore how silent it was. It's almost eerie. You can hear Lizzie snoring in the next room over. My mom snores. She can be really loud. It was hard to believe how much of a blur today was. Summer sure did slip right past you. You flipped through the moments like pages in a scrapbook as you laid in bed. The ones that stuck out also include your new neighbor, Joe. It's funny how he had become such a big part of your life in such a short span of time. You thought a lot about what adventures you could have tomorrow until sleep started to catch up to you. Then you heard something scrape against the window. It wasn't that uncommon for the wind to push a tree branch as it was. Summer breezes were the worst sometimes. But the more you tried to ignore it, the louder it seemed like it became. It was like something was trying to get your attention. You lifted your head off of the pillow to get a better look. Nothing was there. Nothing you could see, at least. Yoki. Got a D4, so 1 or 3 first option, 2 or 4 second option. 4. You practically jumped out of bed and crept down the stairs to go outside. The moms were so awake. They stayed up so late it seemed. Luckily, they were watching TV and they'd hear the soft click of the front door opening as you flipped past. You looked around the neighborhood for a few seconds, checking over each individual house. It looked normal. It didn't feel that way. You knew you weren't supposed to be out here right now. Okay, D6. 1 or 4, first option, 2 or 5, second option, 3 or 6, third option. 5. It made you regret your decision. Without the protective seal of your mom's approval, you felt very vulnerable. There must be a reason you were allowed out in the day and not at night. Not knowing precisely what that reason was made you feel even more afraid. The ease with which you had slipped out only started to make you feel worse. Your mom didn't need to be vigilant because they had trusted you not to do exactly what you were doing. Julia. You switched at the sudden call, immediately calming down upon seeing Cove walking up to you. It was strange, but also completely normal to have him appear like this right now. What are you doing? I saw you standing around in the middle of the street from my window. You weren't sleeping either? Why not? Cove turned up his lips with a smile, almost as if he were amused by the question. Because. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. You should be in bed.
No way.
No, I don't have to. You go home. Nope, I'm sticking around. Why? I heard something. You did too? That's why I was up. Cove hesitated for a moment, looking down the street before his aquamarine eyes fell on you again. Did it scare you? Okay. 1 or 4, first option. 2 or 5, second option. 3 or 6, third option. 6. A little. Me too. I feel better that you're here. Me too. The two of you delicately smiled at that. Cove even chuckled a bit. It was nice that you both felt the same way about things. I was kind of wondering if it was a wind, but what if it's not? What if it's a person? What if it's something that's not a person? The unsettling noise suddenly rushed through the air. Cove and you flinched. Sounds even worse than before. You were about to agree with him when the noise came yet again, tearing through the still night. Two of you rapidly looked around, trying to find the source, but to no avail. There was no sign of an answer to this puzzle. You thought that it could be anything. It had to be a ghost. There's got to be a regular reason for it. Okay, 1 or 4, first option. 2 or 5, second option. 3 or 6, third option. 1. You weren't going to rule out possibilities yet. It was a mystery. You think it was a ghost? The thought of some sinister, invisible thing lurking in the darkness wasn't exactly a pleasant one. Cove seemed downright terrified at the notion. At least when the two of you stuck together, everything would be okay. Hey, can you tell where it's coming from?
Not really.
Then we'll have to look more, somewhere else. Maybe we'll see something. Okay, let's go. You clustered together as you walked the familiar streets of your neighborhood, drawing strength from each other's presence. Oh, that's so sweet. So cute. I haven't decided yet how Julie is going to feel about this. I guess I suppose what happens when I meet these other characters. Shadows cut corners and angles where you didn't expect them, restoring the features you saw every day. The noise came again, shrill and hard. It set your teeth on edge, the way it ground its way through you. Cove's throat bobbed. His eyes glistened in the dim light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, D10. Yes, there is a D10. Not a D10. There you go, that's a D10. So, 1 or 6, first option. 2 or 7, second option. 3 or 8, third option. 4 or 9, fourth option. 5 or 10, fifth option. I haven't had to do this, so I have to remind myself. 0, so 10. Actually, I'm torn between these two, so we'll go with D4 to decide between them. 3. You comforted him. Well, we're still alright, Cove. Nothing's coming for us. You grinned at him and coaxed a weak smile back from him in exchange. You were just as scared as he was, and you knew the both of you were struggling right now. Cove shut his eyes and pressed his lips together.
So...
Where did you want to check? Okay, so D6, 1 or 4, first option, 2 or 5, second option, 3 or 6, third option. 2, the beach. The beach stretched out in front of you, nothing in sight along the sands, no matter which way you turned. Part of you had imagined the noise of some creature of the deep washed up on the shore and calling for aid. That doesn't have to be taken off the list for now. So you spend enough time on the shore to know that the real fight often required a sharper eye and careful attention. The sound screamed past your ears, you hunched up, shoulders high, prepared to endure a blow, but the only damage was to your ears. There didn't appear to be any immediate danger, despite every bone in your body telling you that something wasn't right. Right away! Okay, so D6, 1 or 4, first option, 2 or 5, second option, 3 or 6, third option. 5. You ran away! A bolt of fear streaked through you, and although you wanted to stand your ground, you just couldn't do it any longer. Oh! Grabbing Cove by the arm, you pulled him along, and the two of you ran side by side back to the neighborhood. You both bolted back in the direction of the neighborhood, your feet sinking in the dirt, and then stumbling over grass until you reached the sidewalk. Finally, you bent over to catch your breath, keeping it safe. Your hands were still shaking, but you took a moment to look up and down the street. Maybe you started to think about what might have been out there, watching you through the dark. That was a nice adventure for one night. You and Cove kept going down the road towards home. The two of you came to a halt beside your front door. Never before had it looked so ominous. Now to sneak back inside. Do you sneak out a lot? One, two, three, 4. I almost want to say 4 just for the hell of it. 1. Yeah, I've never tried to do it till now. Boss says, how did you know? I hadn't seen you out of my window this late before. That was fair. So it could have been possible you were just so good at sneaking that this was the first time he caught you. Are you worried about getting caught?
No.
He was so forthright that you believed him completely. But your dad, won't he get mad or sad if he catches you? He's never happy with what I do. Oh. We'll go with this one. Your dad's just worried about you. He cares. It doesn't matter if he worries if he's the one who makes things worse. Alright, I'm going in.
Bye.
Okay, good night. Good night, Cove. Thanks for coming with me tonight. I'm not sure I could have done it by myself. I wanted to go with you. You beamed at him. Turn the doorknob as slowly as a clock's-minute hand, holding in your breath for the telltale click of the lock, and nudged it open. Now what happened was the door opening rather than the blaring alarms that you feared. You melted with relief. Back inside your house, you were surprised to find your mom still watching TV. Worse still, it looked like they were on the same show as they were watching before you left, that you were positive you'd been out investigating for hours. Perhaps you could use their distraction to your advantage. If you could just get up the stairs, you'd be safe from suspicion. But how could you get there? Okay. 1 or 4, first option, 2 or 5, second option, 3 or 6, third option. It's declared to first and third option. 4. Try to sneak past. You hugged the walls, you creaked delicately around the perimeter of the room. It was an effort that any spy would have been proud of, right up until the moment you tripped over a power cord and nearly fell over. I didn't think you'd get away with it. It's so funny. Julia? You might not have fallen, but your accident ruined your cover. You had been spotted. They abandoned the couch in their show to hurry over. They were still in a state of surprise. You weren't in trouble yet.
Are you okay?
What are you doing down here, sweetie? Did you have a bad fling? Forgot that was true. You've been caught. I ran out to find what was causing the noise. Sun seemed to drag as the code drained from your mom's faces.
Huh?
Out where? Out of your bedroom? That's what you mean, right? You pointed to the front door, confirming their worst fears. Mommy remained frozen in shock while Mom launched into lecturing mode. Julia Hunt, it is not safe to be out at this time of night by yourself. Something was wrong. You should have come to us. No, you knew better than that. I trusted you to know better than that. Anything could have happened to you. We don't know where you are. It's a lot harder to keep you safe. Her voice was soft, yet still cut deep. She pawed at the ground with her feet. What they were saying made sense. It was scary. I don't like being scared. I just wanted to see what was there.
Sweetie.
Honey. Mommy wrapped her arms around you, cradling the back of your head. You clung to her. You're brave for facing your fears, but you need to be smart, too. It was scary because it might possibly have been something dangerous, right? That kind of worry is something you should tell us about. Okay. Mom shook her head with a sigh. Let's get you back in bed where you belong. Right, and we'll have a talk about this in the morning. He pulled her face at that, but didn't protest. All things considered, they could have been much harder on you. Oh yeah. Once your moms had left, you turned over the night's adventure in your mind. It was too hard to believe that you'd really done it. Sure, you were going to get a talking to tomorrow. It had been a night that you'll never forget, for better and worse. You hope that Cove had gotten home okay. You hadn't been worried, because held off was never fun. Wriggling down deeper underneath the sheets, your thoughts turned to the unsolved mystery. You and Cove had only just begun to scratch the surface of it. Maybe you'd solve it, and maybe you wouldn't. But what mattered was that you'd shared the experience with each other. You were still so energized by the night's excitement, but you tossed and turned in bed for some time, thinking up theories to share with Cove when you next saw him. Sleep eventually claimed you, but the adventure merely resumed in your dreams. In the morning, the lecture continued, but ultimately your mom set you off with a warning. It had been a pretty unusual circumstances, after all. You later learned Cove didn't end up in trouble for the nightly escapade either. It was unclear whether that was because his dad chose not to punish him, or if Cove got away with it. This was the sense that started this all. The adults around were convinced it was nothing more than the wind. For your imaginative mind, that wasn't nearly enough. How could they accept something so simple so easily? Maybe it'd make more sense when you were grown up, too. Okay, and it's an hour that my voice is giving up. Yeah, so we will do the rest of this next time. Hopefully next week, provided that there's something that doesn't exhaust me. It shouldn't, but we shall see. I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I've certainly been enjoying it. Yeah, the developers of the GBPatch Games have already started working on their next big game, which is similar to this, but apparently it features a female threat, and it takes place during the autumn. New check. I love this game. Hope you're having a great time. Yes, I am enjoying it. In some ways, it's hard not to just simply start playing it in between streams, but I really want my first experience to be on stream. You get my genuine reactions, and not me goes, oh, but this also happens, because that's happened with other games, and I don't want that. So, yeah, next week we should finish the rest of the moments from the first step, and then the week after we will start the second step. We will get to see Cove grow up into a teenager. Ooh. And I already have plans for what I'm going to do with Julia. So I hope everyone has been enjoying this, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified about new videos. So take care, everyone.